Tom was an engineer from Earth, but not the kind who worked in offices or fixed home machines. He was the type who built things nobody else dared to try. He liked challenges, and he liked space. This was why, after years of working in a small research station near Mars, he finally had his own small ship, the Horizon. It wasn't big. It had one seat for him, a small sleeping area, and an engine that was completely new. The jump drive was his own design. It was supposed to let ships travel faster than light by bending space for just a moment. Nobody on Earth had tested it outside of a lab. Tom wanted to be the first. He was out in deep space, far from any planet, checking his controls. The jump drive was glowing softly in the back of the ship, ready for activation. All systems stable, he said to himself. His voice sounded small in the empty cabin. Time to make history. He pressed the activation switch. At first, nothing happened. Then the ship shook hard, like it had been grabbed by something invisible. The stars outside stretched into long lines of light. Tom felt pressure in his chest, like the air was heavy. Then a sudden burst of energy hit him. The lights flickered. The computer gave warnings. He had never programmed. And then, silence. The ship wasn't in deep space anymore. Through the window, Tom saw the sun shining in the same sky, one golden and one pale blue. Below him stretched a green and silver landscape, with wide rivers that sparkled like glass. The air outside looked clear, but he had no idea if it was safe to breathe. The ship's systems showed damage. The jump drive had overheated. He couldn't go back right away. His ship drifted down, guided by emergency landing thrusters, until it touched a wide meadow covered in glowing grass. The light from the two suns made everything look dreamlike. Tom sat for a moment, catching his breath. "Okay," he whispered. "This is not Mars." He grabbed his toolkit and helmet, even if the air seemed clean. He didn't want to take risks. Stepping out of the ship, his boots sank slightly into the soft grass. The air was warm, carrying a faint scent like flowers. He took a slow breath inside his helmet, then checked the outside air readings. Safe, BRATHABLE. He removed the helmet. The fresh air filled his lungs, and for a second, he forgot his fear. This place felt alive. Then he saw movement. From the far side of the meadow, a figure was walking toward him. At first, he thought it was a human woman, but as she came closer, he saw she was not. Her skin was pale with a faint silver glow. Her hair was long and the color of starlight. She wore silver robes decorated with blue patterns that shimmered. As she moved, her eyes were large and bright, almost like they reflected the suns themselves. She stopped a few meters away, staring at him with wide eyes. Her expression was clear, shock. Tom raised his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. Hello? He said carefully. She tilted her head, as if listening to a language she didn't understand. Then, in a soft voice, she spoke words that were musical but strange. Tom's translator device, a small patch on his collar, clicked N-word, then repeated her words in English. "You're human." Tom blinked. "Yes, I'm human." The woman's eyes widened even more. She looked around quickly, as if expecting others to appear. Then she took a slow step closer. "This is not possible," the translator repeated. "Humans do not come here. I didn't plan to." Tom said, "My ship that jumped. I don't know where I am." The woman studied him for a long moment. Her gaze wasn't hostile, just filled with disbelief. Then she said, "I'm Mira, daughter of the High Regent of Alari." Tom gave a small nod. "I'm Tom, engineer, from Earth." When he said Earth, Mira's expression shifted. She glanced toward the sky as if the name itself carried some meaning. Then she looked back at him. "The council will not believe this," the translator said. "They will think it is prophecy." "Prophecy?" Tom asked. Mira didn't answer right away. She looked past him, toward his ship. "Your rival, it is written. A stranger from the lost star will come when the shadow stirs again." Tom frowned. "I'm guessing that's bad news." Mira's silver robe shimmered as she turned back toward the meadow's edge. "Follow me. It is not safe here. If you are truly human, then you must be hidden before the others find you." Tom glanced at the horizon. He didn't want to leave it unguarded, but the tone in her voice told him she was serious. He locked the ship, slinging his toolkit over his shoulder, and followed her dot as they walked. The grass gave way to a smooth white path that seemed to grow from the ground itself. In the distance, Tom could see a city like nothing he had ever imagined, towers of crystal and metal floating above the cliffs, connected by glowing bridges. Ships shaped like silver leaves drifted between them. Mira didn't slow her pace. "If the council hears first," she said, "they may send you away, or worse." Tom kept up, his mind racing. He had come here by accident, but now it seemed his arrival meant something to these people. And the way Mira kept glancing toward the horizon made him wonder. What exactly was the shadow she had mentioned? For now, he could only follow her, his boots clicking softly against the white path under the strange double sunlight of this new world. He had no idea that his sudden arrival was about to change more than just his own fate. The white path carried Tom and Mira across a gentle slope. The glowing meadow faded into an open plain, and far ahead, the crystal city grew larger. Its tall towers shimmered as if made of frozen light. The bridges between them looked too thin to hold weight, yet ships floated along them without falling. Tom tried not to stare too much, but it was impossible. The city was like a dream built in the air. Mira walked ahead, her silver robe brushing the glowing dust from the path. She glanced over her shoulder every so often, making sure Tom was still behind her. Her steps were quick and light, but there was tension in the way she moved. Finally, Tom spoke. "You said my arrival is prophecy?" She slowed slightly, as if choosing her words. "Yes," she said at last, her voice calm but guarded. "Our oldest records speak of the stranger from the lost star. They say this stranger will appear when our world is under threat from the shadow. The stranger will bring tools unknown to us and help decide our fate." Tom gave a half smile. "Tools unknown, sure. I'm an engineer. But the rest, I don't know anything about shadows." Mira's gaze hardened. "You may not know it yet, but the shadow stirs again. It has been quiet for many lifetimes. Now, strange things are happening near our world." They walked in silence for a few moments, the only sound being the soft hum of the path beneath their feet. Then Tom asked, "What exactly is the shadow?" She looked toward the horizon, where the twin suns were starting to drift apart in the sky. "It is an enemy from before our time, a hunger that does not breathe and does not stop. Long ago, it was trapped far away. But my scouts tell me there are signs it is moving again." Tom frowned. "And you think me just appearing here means?" "It's true. I do not think. I know." Her voice was quiet, but certain. "And if the council knows, they will use your arrival to start action. But they will not trust you. They will see you as a danger." Tom shook his head. "Why? If your prophecy says I'm supposed to help, prophecy is not always clear." Mira interrupted. "It can be twisted to serve fear or power. Some will say you are the cause, not the answer. And some will wish to keep you away from their plans." Her words settled heavy in Tom's thoughts. He had dealt with difficult people back on Earth, but here he was an outsider with no allies except the strange princess. The path curved upward onto a wide bridge of clear crystal. Tom looked down and saw empty air beneath them, the ground far below covered in silver-green forests. Small flying creatures darted through the air, leaving trails of glowing light. "You live up here?" Tom asked. "Yes, Rizal, our capital, is built upon the sky cliffs, safer than the lowlands." She paused. "And more beautiful." Tom couldn't argue with that. The city ahead now filled the horizon, its towers rising like spears of light. As they stepped off the bridge, Mira led him toward a tall gate carved with swirling patterns. Two guards stood there, wearing armor that shone like polished steel, though lighter. They each carried a long spear tipped with crystal. When they saw Mira, they bowed. But their eyes locked on Tom instantly after, narrowing in suspicion. "This is the human?" one guard asked in their own language. "Yes," Mira said firmly. "He is under my protection. He will not be harmed." The guards exchanged a glance but stepped aside. Tom followed Mira into the city. Inside, Rizal was alive with movement. The streets were wide and smooth, with soft glowing lines running through them like veins of light. Market stalls sold fruits that shimmered faintly, fabrics that changed color as they moved, and tiny machines shaped like insects that hovered in the air. The people stared at Tom as he passed. Some whispered. A few children ran forward to get a better look, their parents quickly pulling them back. They have never seen a human before. Mira explained quietly, "You are a story come to life for them." Tom felt the weight of every eye on him. He didn't like being the center of attention. Still, curiosity was better than hostility, at least for now. Mira led him into a tall, narrow building with walls of pale crystal. Inside was a private chamber lit by floating orbs of soft blue light. She motioned for him to sit at a low table made of dark wood. Tom placed his toolkit beside him. "All right, we're here. Now can you tell me why you're really helping me?" Mira sat across from him, folding her hands. For the first time, she looked less like a calm leader and more like someone carrying a heavy weight. "I help you," she said slowly, "because I believe the prophecy is true, and because I have seen what the shadow can do." Tom leaned forward. "You've seen it?" She nodded. "When I was younger, I traveled with my father to the southern skies. We saw the land there turning to dust. The light faded, the air became thin. The machines of the shadow moved like insects over the ground, draining all life." She paused, her gaze distant. "It was far from here. But now, my scouts say the signs are closer." Tom felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air. "And you think my ship, my tools, can help stop it?" "Yes, but first, you must not let the council take control of you. They will try to keep you in the palace under guard or send you away. If you wish to help, you must work with me." Quietly, Tom thought about it. He was trapped here until he repaired his ship anyway. And if what she said was true, the shadow was dangerous to more than just this world. "All right," he said finally. "I'll work with you, but I need access to my ship, my tools, my systems. If we're going to do anything, I'll need them." Mira's lips curved into a small smile. "Then we will find a way. But you must be careful. Tom of Earth, your rival has already changed the path of this world. Many will want to see where it leads. Some will want to end it before it begins." Outside, the two suns were sinking lower, casting the city in gold and blue light in the distance. Far beyond the sky cliffs, a dark cloud swirled above the horizon, a shape that did not belong in the peaceful sky. Tom didn't see it yet, but soon he would. Morning came softly in Rizzle. The crystal towers caught the light of the two suns, scattering colors across the streets. Tom woke in the small guest room Mira had given him. The bed was softer than anything on Earth, almost like lying on warm clouds. For a moment, he forgot he was on an alien world. Then he heard the faint hum of the floating city, and remembered he wasn't supposed to be here at all. When he stepped outside the room, Mira was waiting. She wore a robe of pale blue today, her silver hair braided with tiny crystal beads. "The council meets this morning," she said. "We must go now." Tom followed her through the streets. The people still watched him with curiosity, but there was less whispering now. Maybe word had spread that he was under Mira's protection. Still, he kept his head down. The council hall stood in the highest tower of the city, its entrance guarded by more soldiers than Tom had seen before. Inside, the hall was round, with seats arranged in a circle. At the center, a wide platform held a table carved from black stone. The council members were already gathered, 9 of them, each wearing a robe marked with different patterns. Their faces were calm, but Tom could feel their eyes studying him like a puzzle. An older man with dark hair streaked with silver spoke first. His voice was deep and formal. "Princess Mira, you bring a guest from a forbidden place." Mira bowed slightly. "This is Tom of Earth. His arrival was unplanned, but I believe he may help us in a time of need." The council murmured quietly among themselves. One of them, a tall man with sharp features, leaned forward. "I am torn. I do not share your trust, Princess. If this human came here by accident, then perhaps it is a dangerous accident." Tom stayed silent, letting Mira speak. "He came in a ship of his own making," she said. Its design is unlike anything we have. He repaired a damaged energy core in my scout's outpost within minutes. His skill is real. A woman with golden markings on her face spoke next. Or it is a trick to gain our trust. We have kept ourselves safe by avoiding contact with humans for centuries. Why should we break that now? Tom finally stepped forward. I didn't come here on purpose. He said clearly, my ship's jump drive malfunctioned. But now that I'm here, I'm willing to help. If something's threatening your world, I'll do what I can to stop it. His words, translated by the small device on his collar, caused more murmuring. Torn's gaze stayed hard. And if you are the cause of what threatens us? If your rival has already weakened the barrier holding the shadow? Tom hesitated. That was a possibility he'd been afraid to admit, but saying nothing would make him look worse. If that's true, he said, then I have even more reason to help fix it. The room went silent for a moment. Then the older man spoke. Again, your presence is unusual, human, perhaps dangerous. But if the princess vouches for you, we will not act against you. For now, you may remain in the city, under watch. You may work on your ship and assist with repairs where needed. But you will not leave the sky cliffs without permission. Tom nodded slowly. Understood. The meeting ended, and Mira led him out into the bright morning. She didn't speak until they were back in the quieter streets. You handled that. Well, she said, Torn will not trust you. But you showed them you are willing to help. That matters. Tom shrugged. I've dealt with suspicious bosses before. This is just bigger. They returned to the horizon later that day. The ship sat in the meadow where it had landed, its metal hull now surrounded by a small team of Alari technicians. They studied it like an ancient artifact. One of them, a short woman with copper hair, stepped forward. Princess, this craft is remarkable. We have never seen such an engine. But it is damaged. I know, Tom said, kneeling beside the open engine bay. I need new energy regulators, a stabilizer coil, and a fusion seal. Without them, I can't run the jump drive. The technician frowned. We have similar parts, but not exact. Our technology is shaped differently. Tom smiled slightly. That's fine. I can make them work. For the rest of the afternoon, Tom worked on the ship. Mira stayed nearby, sometimes watching in silence, sometimes asking questions about how the engine worked. She seemed genuinely curious, unlike the council, who only saw danger. As the suns began to set, the meadow glowed gold and blue. Tom tightened the last bolts of the temporary stabilizer. This will keep it running, he said. But it's not perfect. I'll need better parts if we want to use it for more than short jumps. Mira's gaze drifted toward the horizon, where the faint dark cloud from yesterday was still there. Larger now. We may not have time for perfect, she murmured before Tom could ask what she meant. A sharp alarm rang from her wrist device. She tapped it, and a faint voice came through. Princess, scouts report strange machines moving through the Silver Forest. They match the old descriptions. The Shadow's servants are here. Mira's eyes met Tom's. It begins. The alarm on Mira's wrist faded into a low, steady tone. Her face stayed calm, but Tom could see the tension in her eyes. She turned toward the Alari technicians. Seal the ship, she ordered. No one approaches it without my permission. The technicians bowed quickly and began closing the protective field around the horizon. Tom didn't like leaving it, but the urgency in Mira's voice told him this was more important. What's happening? Tom asked as they walked quickly toward the white path. She didn't slow her pace. The scouts have found machines in the Silver Forest. They match the descriptions from the last war against the Shadow. Tom felt his stomach tighten. Machines. What kind? Mira's answer came with a note of quiet dread. They are called the Hollow Swarm. They do not think. They do not stop. They consume energy and life until nothing is left. They reached a small landing platform where a skyship waited, a sleek, leaf-shaped craft with faint glowing patterns across its surface. Mira signaled the pilot, and they lifted into the air with a smooth hum. The city of Rizzle fell away beneath them as they headed toward the Silver Forest. From above, the forest shimmered in the light of the two suns. Every leaf reflected silver and white, creating a mirror-like sea. But as they flew lower, Tom saw something that broke the perfect beauty, patches of darkness spreading among the trees. The skyship landed on a ridge just above the forest edge. Mira and Tom stepped out to meet the scouts. They were light-armored Allari carrying slender crystal-tipped weapons. One of them, a young man with green markings on his face, approached Mira. "We stayed at a safe distance," he reported. "But we saw them moving. Dozens, maybe more. They are draining the trees and the ground itself." Mira nodded and turned to Tom. "You should see this." The scout led them to a gap between two giant silver trees. Beyond it lay a clearing. Tom froze. The machines were unlike anything he had seen before. Each was about the size of a large animal, shaped like an insect but built entirely from dark metal. Their bodies pulsed with a dim red glow. Long legs stabbed into the earth, drawing streams of faint light upward into their bodies. The trees around them had lost their shine, turning gray and brittle. "They're feeding," Tom whispered. Mira's voice was low. "Yes, and they will not stop unless destroyed." Tom crouched, studying the creatures. His engineer's mind immediately began mapping their shapes, their movement patterns, and the faint hum of energy coming from them. He noticed the red glow pulsed in a steady rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. "I've seen something like this before," he said slowly. "Not these exact machines. But back on Earth, I studied energy parasites, devices that steal power from larger systems. These things are doing the same thing, but to your planet." Mira's eyes narrowed. "If you know how they work, can you stop them?" "Maybe," Tom said. "But I need to understand where they came from." Mira glanced toward the horizon. "Long ago, they were built by an enemy we never knew the name of. They were meant to strip worlds bare, leaving nothing behind. The Allari and our allies trapped them beyond the rift, sealed by an energy barrier." Tom's mind raced, and my jump, when I tested my drive, it created a huge burst of energy. If that barrier was anywhere near the path I took, I might have weakened it. Mira didn't look surprised. "I thought as much." The guild hit Tom like a heavyweight. "So I brought them here. You may have made their return easier," she said gently. "But they would have found a way, one day. The shadow waits, and it is patient." One of the scouts interrupted. "Princess, they are spreading. We must act." Mira nodded. "Pull back for now. Do not engage until we know more." As they returned to the skyship, Tom kept looking back at the machines. He could feel the heat of their red glow even from a distance. If they reached the city on the flight back, Mira leaned closer to him. "The council will want to send an army, but they will not understand the swarm. They will fight them like living enemies, and it will cost lives." "I think we need another way," Tom agreed. "If I can get a closer look, I might be able to design something to disable them. But I'd need Allari tech, energy crystals, amplifiers, maybe even your city's power grid." Mira gave a small smile. "You ask for much, human." "I ask for what's needed," Tom replied. When they landed in Rizal, the council was already waiting. Word of the swarm had reached them. Torn stood at the front, his expression grim. "You see now why a human should not be here," Torn said coldly. "His arrival and their return are no coincidence." Tom didn't answer. Mira stepped forward. "Blame will not stop the swarm, Torn. Action will. Tom understands machines in ways we do not. He can help." The council debated fiercely. Some argued for immediate attack. Others said they should strengthen the city's defenses. Torn continued to push for Tom's removal, calling him a risk. Finally, the elder council member spoke. "We will give the human 3 days. If in that time he cannot provide a plan to stop the swarm, we will send our army and he will leave this world." Tom met Mira's gaze. She gave the smallest nod. 3 days. That was all the time he had to study an alien machine from a forgotten war, build a way to stop it, and prove that humans could be more than a mistake. As the sun set and the city lights began to glow, Tom returned to the horizon. He stood in the quiet meadow, staring at his ship and the stars beyond. Somewhere out there was the path that had brought him here, and somewhere nearby, the shadow was growing. He opened the ship's hatch and began pulling out tools. If the swarm wanted to drain this world, they were going to have to get past him first. Tom worked through most of the night in the quiet meadow. The protective shield around the horizon kept away curious eyes. But he knew the clock was ticking, 3 days to prove himself. Or the council would push him out. By dawn, Mira arrived. She carried a small crystal sphere that glowed with a steady blue light. This, she explained, is a map of our energy lines. They run beneath the surface of the planet and meet at one place. The Nexus core. Tom studied the holographic lines appearing above the sphere. They looked like a web spreading across the world, all drawn toward one bright point. So that's your power source, he said. Double quotes, yes. The Nexus core keeps the planet alive. If the swarm reaches it, the barrier that holds them back will collapse. Tom traced a path on the map, and if we could boost the core's output temporarily, we could overload their systems, like short-circuiting them. Mira gave a small smile. Exactly my thought. But to reach the core, we must travel through the Sky Storm range. No ships can fly there. The storms tear them apart. We must go by land. Tom raised an eyebrow. By land, in an alien world full of killer machines. Unless you have a better idea, Mira said calmly. He sighed. All right, let's move. They set out in a small ground transport, a sleek, open craft that glided a few feet above the surface. 2 Alari guards joined them, both skilled fighters and navigators. The journey began smoothly, the silver plains rolling out under the twin suns. But as the hours passed, dark clouds gathered ahead. The Sky Storm range was a line of jagged black mountains, and above them, lightning danced across the sky like glowing rivers. By the time they entered the foothills, the wind was howling. The transport swayed, its stabilizers fighting to keep them upright. Storm field approaching, one guard warned, shields at full. Blue energy wrapped around the craft, but the storm was alive, not just weather, but surges of strange energy that made the ground pulse under their feet. A sudden blast of light struck nearby, throwing the craft sideways. Tom grabbed the rail. Is it supposed to be this bad? Mira's voice was steady. This is calm for the range. Another flash, and this time, the light took form. From the shadows between the rocks, tall, thin creatures emerged. They had long limbs made of dark stone, their eyes glowing faint red. Tom recognized the energy signature instantly. Swarm scouts. The guards moved fast, crystal spears spinning. One stabbed a creature, the tip glowing bright. The machine froze, its red eyes dimming. Tom wasn't a fighter, but he grabbed a compact tool from his belt, a pulse driver. He aimed at the nearest scout and fired. A burst of magnetic force hit the machine, sending it crashing into the rocks. Move, Mira shouted. The guards cleared the way while Tom and Mira pushed the transport forward. The scouts didn't chase far. They seemed more like sentries than attackers. By nightfall, they had crossed into the deeper mountains. Here, the air glowed faintly, lit by streams of energy flowing along the ground like rivers. They stopped to rest in a sheltered cave. The guards kept watch outside while Tom examined his gear. Mira sat nearby, her gaze fixed on the glowing streams. Outside, you've faced danger before, she said quietly. Plenty of times, Tom replied, checking the charge on his pulse driver. But usually it's just broken reactors, not machines trying to eat the planet. She smiled faintly. And yet, you came anyway. He shrugged. Didn't exactly have a choice. But if I can help, I will. I didn't come here to watch your world fall apart. They rested for only a few hours before setting out again. The next stretch of the journey was worse. The ground twisted into sharp ridges, and the storms above roared louder. At one point, they reached a narrow pass where the energy rivers converged. As they crossed, the ground trembled. A massive shape rose from beneath. A machine far larger than the scouts, its body like a centipede made of black steel. Eyes glowing red. It's a harvester. One guard shouted. The harvester lunged, its front limbs smashing into the path. Tom and Mira dove aside as the transport slid dangerously close to the edge. Keep it busy, Tom yelled. He pulled out the small devices from his pack, shaped like discs with glowing edges. Running toward the harvester, he slapped them onto its front legs. The discs pulsed, sending jolts of energy through the machine. It screeched, jerking wildly before collapsing onto the rocks. The guards finished it with crystal spears, the light from their weapons piercing deep into its core. The harvester shuddered and went still. Mira looked at Tom with surprise. Those were not Alari weapons. Nope, he said, breathing hard. Human invention. Portable overload emitters. Works on most things with a power source. She nodded slowly. Perhaps the prophecy is not wrong. After all, by the second night, they finally reached the edge of the Skystorm range. Beyond it lay a wide plateau, and in the center, a massive crystal structure rose from the ground. The Nexus core dot was taller than any tower in Rizzle. Its surface, alive with shifting colors, energy lines from all directions fed into it, pulsing like the heartbeat of the world. But even from here, Tom could see trouble. At the base of the core, small red glows moved, swarm units, already feeding on the outer layers. Mira's jaw tightened. We are almost too late. Tom studied the core. We can still do this. I'll need to interface my equipment with your crystal conduits. Once I boost the output, it should send a surge through the entire energy network, frying anything connected to it. And if it fails? Mira asked. Tom's eyes stayed on the core. Then we make a stand right there. She gave a slow nod. Then let us finish this. The wind carried the distant hum of the swarm as they prepared for the final approach. The two suns were low, casting long shadows, and in those shadows, the real battle was waiting. The city of Luminara was tense, its streets, usually filled with glowing lanterns and peaceful voices, were now heavy with the weight of silence. News of the coming invasion had spread to every corner. The alien council gathered in the main hall, and even the glowing pillars seemed dimmer. Daniel stood near the princess, his arms crossed, thinking hard. He could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching him, some with curiosity, others with doubt. For them, he was still a stranger from another world, and no one knew if he could truly help. Princess Leora rose from her seat, her golden crown caught the soft light, and her voice was calm yet strong. We must decide today, she said. The Shadow Fleet is 3 days away. If we do nothing, they will destroy our homes. If we fight without a plan, we will lose. But if we fight with unity, we have a chance. The alien elders exchanged worried glances. Elder Sarn, the oldest among them, spoke first. Unity is easy to speak of, Princess. But how can we trust a human? One we met only days ago. Daniel took a step forward. His voice was steady. I understand your doubt. Where I come from, trust is earned, not given. I can't promise that my plan is perfect, but I can promise you that I'm willing to fight for this city as if it were my own home. There was a pause in the hall. Leora looked at Daniel and then back to the council. Let us hear his plan. Daniel unfolded a small holo map that Leora had given him earlier. The Shadow Fleet relies on overwhelming firepower, but their ships need stable energy beacons to target accurately. In this region of space, we destroy the beacons, they lose their accuracy. Without accuracy, their power is cut in half. One of the younger council members, Elder Vera, tilted her head. And how do you propose we do that? Their beacons are guarded by sentry drones. Daniel smiled slightly. By using something they won't expect, me. Their scanners are built to detect your energy signatures, not mine. I can move through their defenses easier than your soldiers. I'll need a small team and the help of your fastest ship. The hall filled with low murmurs. Elder Sarn still looked doubtful, but Leora's eyes brightened. It's risky, she said. But it might work. Our people have tried before, but they were detected too soon. If Daniel's difference gives us the advantage, we cannot ignore it. The council eventually voted, with a narrow margin in Daniel's favor. Leora smiled at him. You will not face this danger alone. I will send my most trusted warriors with you. That night, Daniel prepared with the alien soldiers. They gave him lightweight armor, smooth and silver, almost like liquid metal. A strange calm filled him. Back on Earth, he had never been a soldier. But now, on a distant world, he was about to lead a mission that could decide the fate of an entire civilization. As they boarded the small stealth craft, Leora came to see them off. She placed a small crystal in Daniel's hand. It glowed faintly, warm to the touch. "This is a beacon of Luminara," she said softly. "If you are lost, it will guide you home. And Daniel, return safe." The stealth craft slipped out of the city under the cover of night, through the windows. The stars passed in endless rivers of light. Daniel sat at the front, going over the plan again in his mind. When they reached the first enemy beacon, the craft hovered silently. The alien soldiers looked to Daniel for the signal. "Let's move," he whispered. They glided through the darkness, using the shadows of the beacon's massive structure to hide from patrolling drones. Daniel's heart pounded, but he forced himself to focus, reaching the control panel. He placed the small disruptor device the engineers had given him. A quiet hum filled the air, and then the beacon's glow flickered before shutting down completely. One down. But the Shadow Fleet was not blind. The moment the beacon went dark, enemy ships adjusted their course. The second beacon would be harder dot by. The time they reached it, drones were everywhere. Daniel signaled for the team to split up, drawing the drones away while he moved to the control point. The sounds of blaster fire echoed faintly in the distance, but Daniel's hands were steady. The disruptor hummed again, and another beacon fell dark dot as they escaped back to the craft. Daniel knew the hardest part was yet to come, the main beacon, deep in enemy territory. If they succeeded, the Shadow Fleet's assault would falter. If they failed, the craft sped toward the final target, each second ticking away like a drumbeat. Daniel looked out at the endless night sky, and, for the first time since he had arrived in this strange world, he realized something. This wasn't just their fight anymore. It was his too. Rian stood in the middle, his hands at his sides, his gaze moving from one alien elder to another. Beside him, Princess Leora kept her head high, though he could see the tension in her shoulders. They were surrounded by towering columns of silver. Light, a reminder that this was not Earth, and the rules here were different. The High Elder finally spoke. "Human, you have interfered in our affairs. You have broken the isolation law. You have fought to protect the princess against the will of the council. Why should we trust you now?" Rian did not flinch. "Because I've seen the truth. Your people are in danger, and the danger won't wait for your debates. If you don't act now, you'll lose more than your laws, you'll lose your home." Murmur ran through the elders. The alien guards shifted uneasily, their armor humming with a soft, mechanical tone. Liora a step forward. "I vouch for him. Without Rian, I would have been taken by the raiders. Without him, we would not know the size of their fleet. He is here because fate brought him, not because he seeks to harm us." The High Elder's eyes narrowed. "And what do you propose, human?" Rian took a deep breath. "A joint defense. I can show you how humans fight. You give me access to your ships, your weapons. Together, we stand a chance. Alone, you'll be wiped out." The chamber fell silent again. It was clear the elders were torn. Some wanted to refuse. Others looked curious, perhaps even hopeful. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. A scout ran in, his voice shaking. "The Raider fleet. They have entered orbit. They are not waiting." The elders all spoke at once, their voices a mix of alarm and panic. But Rian turned to Leora, his voice calm. "It's now or never." She nodded. "Now." The battle begins within minutes. The alien city was alive with motion. Sleek silver ships rose from docking bays, their wings glowing as energy surged through them. The air hummed with the sound of engines. Rian stood on the bridge of the lead ship, wearing armor that had been quickly adjusted to fit him. Leora was beside him, her eyes scanning the holographic display of enemy positions. The Raider fleet appeared as red markers on the map, dozens of massive ships, all moving in tight formation. They were far more numerous than Rian had hoped. "Your plan?" Leora asked. "Hit their leaders first." Rian said, "Cut off the head, the rest falls apart." The alien captain looked doubtful. "It is risky. That's the point." Rian replied, "Humans take risks when the alternative is certain defeat." With that, he gave the order. The alien ships surged forward, their energy cannons lighting up the darkness of space. The raiders returned fire, and the first shock waves shook the bridge. Rion moved between control panels, shouting quick instructions. Flank left. Push through their line. Don't give them time to regroup. Leora worked beside him, her hands flying over the controls, relaying commands in her native tongue. The crew followed without hesitation, turning the to the first part of the plan worked. The alien fleet broke through the raider formation, destroying one of their command ships. But the raiders fought back hard, sending wave after wave of fighters. Rion gritted his teeth. We can't hold this position. Leora's voice was steady. Then we move. Follow me. She took the ship into a sharp dive toward the planet's upper atmosphere. The raiders chased them, but as they entered the thick clouds, Rion realized her plan used the planet's defense towers hidden below. Lightning flashed outside as the alien towers opened fire, striking the raider ships that followed too closely. Several exploded in bright bursts. That's one way to make an entrance, Rion said with a small grin. The final push of him with the surprise attack, the raiders still outnumbered them. The battle raged for what felt like hours, with neither side fully breaking. Finally, Rion saw his chance. The largest raider ship, the flagship, moved into position to strike the alien city directly. If it succeeded, everything would be lost. Take us in close, Rion said. That ship will destroy us. The captain warned. Not if we destroy it first. The alien ship dove straight toward the flagship. Alarms blared, but Rion ignored them. At the last moment, he ordered all weapons to focus fire on the flagship's main cannon. The blast tore through the enemy weapon, causing a chain reaction. The flagship erupted into flames, pieces breaking away and scattering into space. The raider fleet hesitated. Without their leader, their attack faltered. One by one, they turned and fled. Aftermath, when the alien fleet returned to the city, cheers greeted them. The people looked at Rion with something close to awe. The High Elder met him in the landing. Bay, you have done what we thought impossible. You have saved us. Rion shook his head. We save each other. That's the point. The Elder nodded slowly. Perhaps there is more to humans than we understood. Leora stepped forward, a faint smile on her face. There is much we can learn from each other, and much we can build together, for the first time since arriving in this strange world. Rion felt at peace. He had come here by accident, but now he wasn't sure he wanted to leave. Somewhere in the vastness of space, danger still waited. But for now, the human and the alien princess stood side by side, ready for whatever came. Next,